do you usually rely on logic or intuition? I use both. But if logic can't be done, then obviously I've just got to go with intuition, right? But I mean, I try and use both all the time. I'll typically start wherever my intuition is. So, you know, if I need to do an ad or something, I mean, I'll start with what my intuition is, but then I'll check it with the logic. It's both. Like, there is no like person who in business who uses intuition for everything. Those people will be bankrupt. And if they're not, then that person would be like the ruler of the universe, because no one can do that. So it's both. You got to have both. You can't use logic for everything, otherwise you will never make a decision because you'll get so confused and tangled up. Nor can you use intuition. You have to be equally left brain, right brain. So when I do all of those psychometric tests, those things are awesome. You should, you know, if you want to understand yourself and help yourself improve, then the best way to understand yourself is to do psychometric tests. Do the Myers-Briggs one. I'll share this other one with you. I've got it here. It's called I'll share the link to this. So I would do this one here, which is called the Team Dimensions Profile, which I just posted. Now, this one costs money. So this one costs, how much is it? If you scroll down on that page, it is $43. So before anyone asks, if you don't have $43 to spend, don't do it. But if that's not going to put your life into a dangerous situation, then do it, because it's worth it. Like, I make all of my team do all of these tests too, and you know, I do them myself all the time as well, because it helps you understand yourself. And when you understand yourself, then you can see why you have the problems that you have, and also why you have the successes that you have. It's always, you know, it's always two things. Someone's greatest strength will always be their greatest weakness, every single time. So I would do, this stemmed from Alvira's question, do you rely on logic or intuition? And when I was younger, I definitely relied on intuition mostly, and it didn't really work that well for me. But as I've grown older and done more business and everything, I've definitely got way stronger logic. And typically when I do those psychometric tests now, I'm pretty much like both, like half right brain, half left brain. I can be creative, but I'll also have the rational logic. And I think that's the best place to be, like just right even between the two. If you look at like Carl Icahn and all of them, like all of the best businessmen and people in the world, they're both like that too. Because if you're just pure logic, you're going to be like a lawyer or an accountant or something that can't think themselves outside of their little box. And sure, they're really good at doing rules and everything and calculations, but they're like a little calculator. They can't get out of the box. And you know, the people who are good can do that, but also can transcend the thinking and change the rules and do all of that, play different games. So you want to develop both sides of your brain. If you're hard jammed on logic and you're not very creative, work on the creative side. And if you're hard on the creative, work on the logic side. I think like the biggest thing which would help women is like because I noticed that quite a lot of women, they're definitely like if we had to make a bias for what women are mostly like and men are mostly like, men are generally more rational and women generally have better emotional understanding and everything and better feelings. I mean, obviously there's differences, like there's a lot of men that have like strong feelings and then a lot of women who are very good with logic and all that. So obviously there is a mix, but in general, they're like that. And honestly, the best thing to do for both men and women is to learn the other one. Like if you're, if like women who have really good empathy and understanding of emotions, if they also learn the logic and analytical side, then they'll crush it. And if men learn the emotional side, then they'll crush it. Like you want to balance it a bit. The biggest thing I see with a lot of female entrepreneurs is that they're not very analytical and they don't keep track of their numbers very well. And that I think it can definitely help a lot of people.